Coming up, growing a gardener's green thumb. We all want to have a great looking yard filled with lush plants and full shrubs. A showpiece that lets our neighbors see we have that much desired green thumb. But, in reality, a lot of us struggle just to keep the grass green and weed free. It's no fault of our own, because there is a science and process behind successful sod and prosperous plants. And the city of Deltona wanted to help 2 of its residents get those showcase yards.
You ask some general questions, what kind of plants do you like and that type of thing. And then it's hers and to some degree my job to help to find plants that will fit within what it is they're looking for, or say, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, because that's what they're going to need to know. It's, what you guys recommend, said, okay, that's probably not the best choice.
Exactly.
These, this would be.
And like I say,
better.
I'm perfectly comfortable with her being familiar with Florida Friendly. If they say, they got a big sunny spot in their yard and they say, oh, I'd love to have some azaleas there, then it's hers and like I say, to some degree, my job to say, that's not the best choice for full sun, is azaleas, there are other choices for that.
Yeah.
We partnered with LaFleur Nursery and the University of Florida's Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, or IFAS, and selected Helen Sanders and Alan Venegas to receive yard makeovers.
They wound up with a lot of weeds, and then the weather worked against them. So anyhow, they went from that to that. So that's
They went
from the pretty,
nice stuff.
yeah, the pretty.
I see back then now.
Yeah.
This complete package included new shrubs, yard designs, and expert guidance on how to keep the new makeover looking great.
What's up, my knee? I'm Lance LaFleur Nurseries. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, I'm Alan.
When you're actually ready to do this, take a picture of this house and come to my nursery, and I'll help you design it off of this list of what you have here.
The first order of business,
And one of the things,
visiting our 2 makeover sites.
the agapanthus. You see these purple agapanthus? I would spot them coming down the driveway. I would put 2 in between the boxwoods that you have because you got enough room.
Okay.
I'd put some of the Kunti palms on the corner of the driveway right there in the sidewalk. And then I'd put the rest of the Kuntis against the wall right over there. Okay. All of those plants right there, those are just flowers. Those are going to die in a couple of weeks to 3 weeks, they'll be dead. Okay? So you take them out, and we use the plant material that you have on here. You've got some Indian hawthorn. We can take this bed a little further when it comes here. And from maybe this point here, just blow it around and wrap it around the house and put some nice 1-gallon stuff in here.
Okay.
Okay? So
you think those plants are good there?
yeah, the lorpedum is fine. The big thing that you want to do is when you plant and you get all of this weed. There's a product called pre-emergent.
Okay.
You put it down so that all of these weeds go. Well, if you want to come down, I'll spend a half an hour.
Okay.
The earlier in the morning, the better.
Okay.
Okay.
Saturday morning 9 works.
Yeah, that's fine. Let me give you one of my cards. Okay. This is the bed that I would create with the plant material, something like this. Some of the focal point plants would be plumbago, Texas sage, and the firebush here, and there, and there, and there. And then the understory stuff, some agapanthus in a bed like that, clusters of color. I would take all of the stuff that's here out.
Take it out?
Take it out. And then the liriop right there, you can divide the clumps.
Okay.
You can use it as a border. You can use it a border along the driveway.
Okay.
You can use it as a border running down the side of the property. But you like things like, do you know what Texas sage is and plumbago
Yes,
and the firebush?
yes. I have firebush back there in the
Okay.
back.
Well, those are the things that you could use as focal points off the house.
Okay.
There, in the corner there, and some over here. And then I would plant in clusters. I would plant,
Okay.
like the agapanthus, a group of agapanthus in here. But I would take this stuff out, and I would separate it and use it as a border up and down the sides of the driveways,
Okay.
and to outline the bed here, and just divide them. The biggest thing, ma'am, is when you plant, you're going to need that soil in this bed.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to need planting soil, and you're going to need to water this stuff probably every day for about a month,
Okay.
especially when the summer comes in, because this is just sand. That water is just going to run right
Okay.
through the sand, and you're not going to get any moisture to the root.
Okay.
And it's very, very key.
Okay.
Okay?
So we're gonna plant up in here.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I would do. And I would just sod the rest of this. And you have some clivia here. This is called clivia. You see these plants here?
Yes.
Yeah, you could actually use those. Agapanthus kind of looks like that.
Okay.
But you could actually use those right there as a cluster. You can take these out and transplant them in there and create a bed of them.
Okay.
And that's what I mean by planting in clusters.
Okay.
Put some agapanthus, and I mean, you've got some firebush, some lyriop, some Allison heather, sedum angelonia is a ground cover, a nice ground cover.
Yeah.
So you can create a nice pockets of color. I would find maybe yourself a nice, maybe a cassia tree, something with a nice bloom, yellow flower, something to plant wherever the drain field is, 25 or 30 feet off the drain field. Put some shade to the front of the house.
I've brought you all the information.
Okay.
The application, the little bag. And
I've
the
done this
box
before after we put this in.
to send out to UF.
Let's do
so-
it again.
Because we need to know, for the plant selection, you'll need to know what the pH is for your soil, because that's really, if you want a successful growing, that's pretty much it. I have all kinds of information in this little book, or in this little folder. There's several different flyers. I put the UF phone numbers of the extension office on
Thank
there.
you.
So if you have any questions, you can give us a call. And the website, Solutions for Your Life, is on there. That's also
Okay.
a good website. In the very far back, the last thing I did this yesterday. It's on how to plant
thank you.
plant your trees, the depth you plant your trees and your shrubs.
Thank you.
How to leave the top ball, open, but it gives you all that information. So there's several different things in there that you'll need to,
Okay.
and there's about water
Okay.
efficiency, and all that's in there.
Thanks for the planting information, because more than once I've had to pull something out of the ground and keep digging or
Exactly.
backfill before I put it back in. So thank
Yeah,
you.
so that tells you all about how to backfill and all that kind of stuff. This is the new Florida Friendly Landscape Guide. And on page 31, this gives you, it tells you about the types of soil. So when you look up your plant, we're just going to flip over to look up a plant real quick. It'll tell you whether it's North or Central Florida.
Okay.
How much water, how much sun, what the birds, butterflies, whether it needs to be in full sun, how big the plant becomes. See height, that's 15 to
Yes.
30, width is 10 to 20, and then you just come back over here, and this is just a key to tell you where
Okay.
your growth rate, height spread, native, non-native, and all. And so when you just I always mark my page so I can flip back and forth if I find something I like, to see if it'll work.
This is for me.
It is for you.
Thank you.
And you can just search every kind of plant and shrub and ground cover.
Oh, this is cool.
All in there.
Here's your driveway over here. Here's your house. Here's your sidewalk going up to the front door. These are a couple of ideas,
Okay.
to help, maximize your bed space. Here's a nice little colorful tree you could put out there. And I think this is what you were talking about, is keeping things away from your house,
Yeah.
which
Just,
is
and
a good idea.
maximizing that space.
Exactly.
And really
There's-
put some color into it.
The whole idea of foundation plantings came along when we had houses on foundations. They were up 2 or 3 feet off the ground, and you
Camouflage.
needed something to hide the bricks. So we don't do that anymore.
Okay.
You have houses on grade. So the whole idea of foundation plantings and jamming things up against the side of the house is kind of passé. And you see how it gets, you got low things up against the house so you're not blocking the house. And you got your nice colorful trees to accentuate your entrance and things like that. So I think that's kind of what you have in mind.
And on the tree, because your drain field's going to be right there, you may have to come off the side of that, or just at the
That's
edge of
fine.
it, because you don't want the roots going into your drain
You can
field.
make this bigger if
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah, make that.
And
so
then what
it's
that does,
bigger.
and you could actually bend it this way and take it down, almost make a circle, a perimeter of landscape plants. Although you might want to leave a place out there for people to park like we did. But you know, and then that would minimize the amount of perennial peanut that you're going to put out here.
Okay.
That would be.
And have more landscape, less.
And that's going to decrease the maintenance that you have to do as well. So.
The only maintenance you're going to have to do is trying to keep the perennial peanut out of bed. I'm perfectly serious about the idea of turning your landscape, once it's done, into a demonstration. Take pictures of it, because trying to convince people to convert to Florida-friendly landscaping is a tough sell sometimes.
It's hard.
And if we have somebody who's actually done it, you know, it's one thing to show them a picture, but if we can show them, here's an actual yard in Deltona that was a mess, and look what they did, you know, and then people, you know, then the light bulbs start to go off, you know, and they say, wow, I didn't know it could be like
I
that.
can do that. The average person can do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's why I'm serious. You know, we can put a sign in your yard. There's a
Yay.
Florida-friendly yard. You know, the whole thing, and then
I would love to
we
try
can
that.
and then we can show people that the flowers are edible.
I did not
That's
know
right.
that. I did not know that.
I mean, wouldn't those look cool if you made a nice little spring salad or something, and you just picked a dozen or so of those and just
Yeah.
kind of sprinkle them over the salad?
Yeah.
That'd be
That's
cool.
a nice color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The water savings, like Judy was suggesting, if we could get copies of your water bill, what you've been spending up till now, because you're not watering now, but then compare what you were doing, say 2 or 3 years ago, to what you're doing after your new landscape is in, because the whole idea of Florida-friendly landscaping is to reduce the amount of water, fertilizers, pesticides that you apply to your landscape, and I know that's one of the
And the
things you
pesticide
want.
reduction, that's right where I want to be.
Well, make sure when you're talking to LaFleur Nurseries, make sure you tell them that's one of your criteria. Is, you know, you want plants that are relatively pest-free.
Okay, okay.
You know, they're out there, and that's where it starts.
an
Olive
olive
tree
tree
would
is
be
really
perfect
nice.
here. So you might not get many olives off of it.
No, but it's a very attractive tree.
It's very attractive. It's
Okay.
very
I've never
drought
seen one,
tolerant.
so, ooh,
Very
okay.
drought tolerant. Olive tree. I mean, think about where they grow.
that's true. Okay.
The Mediterranean.
Mediterranean.
You know, the bed's going to come out here, make a big loop-de-loop, and go back into your service area here. But you might have a tree here, and then circle whatever tree you put here, maybe another peach tree, with the agapanthus. Again, that mass effect. Put all the agapanthus in one spot.
Because they're beautiful when they flower.
Oh, they absolutely are.
I've
Yeah,
got
and if
purple
you can,
ones.
you know,
and
get
they're
it away
gorgeous.
from the eave of the house.
Yeah,
too,
bring the
so-
tree out here. It would be a
Okay.
small flowering tree,
Okay.
whatever you choose, and then put the agapanthus around it. And then just have a big solid mass of the liriope here, because it's going to, you know, be a nice green, and maybe even bring it out farther. You know, dig it up, divide it.
Yeah, because I can get probably 3 out of each one of those.
Easy.
Yeah, then you
Easily.
come out a little
And I can
further
still
and everything.
share and
Yeah.
and still have enough left.
You know, I would even bring that hibiscus out further.
Okay. That's been giving me trouble.
Well, see, it's probably because it's too close to the house.
Okay.
Get it out here, where it's
Okay.
gonna get more sun, because these like
Okay.
sun.
All right. All right. I'll move that then. It's
But
beautiful.
you don't have any aphids on it. Big masses of things. Don't break it up into little pot. You know, one here, one here, one here.
Okay.
Then it starts to look like a patchwork quilt.
Looks like we didn't have enough money, so here's what
When
we
you
did.
go to when you go to Disney or Epcot, what do you see?
Plants.
Big
Big
masses.
masses of plants. Bush gardens.
Big masses of one thing. And that's, you know, obviously this isn't, you don't have an unlimited budget like they have.
Right. Right.
But that's the idea, is big masses of,
Okay.
and that doesn't mean you can't have variety. It just means, you know, where you're going to have different plants, you're going to have a lot of them.
And then give it time too. Once you get it planted,
Sure.
get a year, 2 years into it before you think you need to add anything else, because it'll grow in.
You might want to come to the extension office and look at our new landscape. We just spent $104,000 redoing our landscape.
It's beautiful out there. You
And-
really
and-
do need
Come
to
any
come
day of the week? Or?
8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
And you can walk all the way around, and that might give you some ideas too.
Okay.
That's the whole purpose of the
Good, I
landscape.
have time today. I'll go up there today.
Yeah, just
there you
walk
go.
around and just,
Okay.
you know, and that's
This is
what
awesome.
I've tried to impress upon, you know, the people that designed our landscape and the master gardeners is, you know, big masses of things. Because that's what gives you that visual boom.
Different yards with different problems, but with similar challenges that are seen in many yards across southwest Volusia County.
The biggest thing that you see in my business is people come in and they spend this $500, and they come in and they plant, and we go out, you know, but they don't water it. They water it for a week. Boy, they're vigilant. They go out there and they really take care of it. But then something else. They go into something else. When you plant that soil that she has right there, as you can see, this is all sand. There's nothing there but sand.
The sands are particularly deep, really well drained, and they tend to dry out really quickly. So, you know, this is an example of what we're talking about. I mean, this is a good example of what people in this particular region, this is Deltona, but here and elsewhere in the middle of Florida have to deal with, and this can go down for several feet. Very well drained, easy digging. It makes it easy to plant plants in, but it makes it very challenging. You have to manage these soils very closely for moisture and for nutrients. So taking soil tests on a regular basis, at least yearly, to determine, you know, what has leached out of these. Fertilizers that you apply today to these soils with 2 or 3 good heavy rains might leach out if it's not applied appropriately. So the University of Florida has come up with guidelines for homeowners of how to fertilize appropriately so that you can maximize plant growth and minimize leaching regardless of what type of soil you have. I could recommend to these folks to do prior to putting in their new landscape would be to put a layer of organic material all over this property, because organic material is really magical stuff. It can help slow leaching, it can help slow nutrient losses, it can help hold water more efficiently than the sand by itself. So anything you can do to increase organic matter content either prior to or after you've already planted. And the best way to do that, like I say, what they could do here is put an inch of organic material all over this property, work it in, and then do their planting. And then after their planting is done, maintaining a layer of 2 to 3 inches of some type of organic mulch is what we recommend, because as the mulch decomposes, it will infiltrate into the soil, further helping to improve soil structure and help increase nutrient and water holding capacity.
And that know-how about prepping the soil, knowing what shrubs to plant and where to plant them, as well as how to plant them and keep them alive, will be shown to both Helen and Alan. They have LaFleur Nursery and IFAS as their subject matter experts, ready to advise, recommend, and guide, as what will make their individual yard makeovers successful.
When you plant things, you want to plant them in groups, in masses. And this is a good example of what I'm talking about with these caladiums here. The criterion out here was to have big masses of plants, because everybody out here on this road goes 50, 55 miles an hour. So it had to be big, it had to be big groups of things so that when people drive by, they can see it. So that was the purpose here. So we have big masses of roses. We've got the 2 Vitex here, which are blooming gloriously right now. And they also attract a lot of bumblebees and butterflies, and that's always fun for the kids when they can see things flitting about. And there's, as I'm looking at it right now, I'm seeing lots and lots of bumblebees, and bumblebees won't bother you as long as you don't bother them. So I don't even worry about them. And in front of that, we've got the glossy abelia, pretty much as bulletproof a plant as you'll find anywhere. It blooms most of the summer. It's got little pinkish white blooms. These are growing so fast right now, we're gonna have to get out here and prune them. But again, the whole idea was big masses of plants that people could see from the road as they're driving by at 50 miles an hour. This area used to be in turf. And as you can see, it's very shady. And this is one of the more common questions we get from customers is, you know, I got a shady area, which turf grass can I grow? And in Florida, it's really difficult. When you get beyond, say, 50% shade, it's difficult to grow grass at all. And that was our dilemma here. And the grass was deteriorating. Our solution was we just eliminated the grass. And in here we planted about 11 different species of ferns, along with about 5 or 6 different species of bromeliads and some other plants that do well in shade. And it's been very successful. This was actually the very first garden that we completed when we started the landscape project 2 years ago. It was the same thing in this area. It's just so much shade because of these huge live oak trees. You can't grow grass here, so just do something else. We've got peacock gingers, and we got spiral gingers, and we got bromeliads and ferns and caladiums, and these are all plants that love the shade, and they're doing just great. This is our rain garden. And this is one of the principles of Florida-friendly landscaping, is to reduce stormwater runoff. So one of the first things that we did when we started the landscape is I had them put gutters on the sides of the building here, as you can see up at the top. And then our next dilemma was, how do we get the water from there to our actual rain garden? And we hired another landscape architect, and he came up with the idea of this cool little gazebo entryway. We're going to have vining plants growing up it, but the water comes down the rain chain into that jar, and when that jar fills up with water, it spills over, and it spills into the rain garden as a great example of how to reduce stormwater runoff, and a neat display as well. And this is a great way to not only tell people the various things that they can grow, they can actually see it. They can see roses and how they should be pruned properly. Same thing with trees. You know, plants planted where they're going to grow best. Plants that like sun, planted in the sun. We've tried to plant it so that we have a minimum of ongoing maintenance. About the only thing we have to do is pull weeds once in a while, maybe deadhead the roses, but everything out here is designed for minimal maintenance. And once it's established, which it pretty much is now, it shouldn't need any supplemental water, fertilizers, and no pesticides. Right plant, right place is the cornerstone of the Florida Friendly Landscape program. If you put the right plant in the right place, 90% of your problems are solved right there, because then you're going to be planting a plant, for example, that likes sun in a sunny location. Also a shady plant in a shady location, and we can help you sort those kinds of things out. Avoid planting plants that get too big immediately in front of the house, something that you have to prune all the time. So those are the kinds of mistakes we can help keep people from making in their landscape.
That could be a border. You could use those as a border. You
Okay.
can put those in between these plants. You see
Okay.
these?
Yeah, between the
The boxwoods.
Yeah, boxwoods.
You put 2 in between, all the way up, all the way from the street. You know how you have them all the way from the street, all the way up
Right.
both sides of the sidewalk, right here.
Okay.
Okay. Now let me show you. We're going to go a little further over here. Over here, you have that big open space over there. You can put those there. Okay. And you have a little bit of height, and they grow real pretty. Put them about 2 feet apart. Plant them one, like if this is a sidewalk, you plant 1, 2, 3, and then 5, like a diamond shape.
Like a yeah.
Okay. And you fill in the beds there. And then I want to do things with color. This bed here, you see this bed right here?
Yeah, that's what.
You could make like a
Diamond shape.
right and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those in there.
Okay.
Okay. This lantanas, you see these lantanas in these plants here?
Yep.
The lantana, the yellow ones. Okay, the
The
yellow
purple
ones.
ones, yeah, the yellow ones.
And the purple ones, right.
Yep.
You can use those as ground cover up against the wall. You see this
Okay.
wall right here?
Yeah.
You could use those up against the wall.
Okay.
2 or 3, about 2 feet apart, because they will get big and they'll grow and they'll give you a nice humping color. You could put 1, 2, right there, about 3 feet off the wall, about 3 feet off the corner, 3 feet off the wall, and then go another 5 or 6 feet and plant another one. And you can use that as some height and put ground cover, put the agapanthus and that stuff on the bottom, so you'd have height built into the wall.
Okay.
But not solid hedge. You don't need a solid hedge. You need to break it up. And then you could put the lariat, what I showed you there, those other plants, or some other colorful plants. In between them, about 5 feet off the wall, coming out from them, you could put 1, 2, 3, and then you could put, you know, some other ground cover at the bottom of them. And I'm gonna show you that stuff as well.
Okay.
So you're gonna basically build in height from the sidewalk. You're gonna have low, you're gonna have some medium height, then you're gonna have the big height with those things on the wall there.
Okay.
Okay. There's that part. Okay, you see this part of the sidewalk here? You could put it here in between the boxwoods, and you can from this part of the sidewalk to the street where you have the other boxwood, you can use those other first plants that I showed you there, and then you can put color right from this point here all the way down to the door on the outside.
So, plants have been selected and ordered. The yard makeover designs are well underway, and the days to start the makeovers are marked on the calendars until
We'll pump the septic tank. When they opened the tank, they said, "You're on borrowed time." We had to get the drain field replaced.
join us for the next Urban Outdoorsman, because it's time to get dirty as both Helen and Alan dive into the yard makeover.